And here just for a second, I'm going to have to go run out and tweak the grill, the smoker.
Sure thing.
But during the course of the show, if I jump up and run out, it's because it's either gone too high or too low. So
You got
I'll
the
be right
remote.
back.
You got the remote thing, huh?
Isn't technology wonderful?
It is. For anybody listening in, my presentation partner Butch, he's going out to deal with some barbecue, and his dogs are going a little bit nuts about the whole thing. Your microphone picked up your dogs perfectly. It was hilarious.
Yeah, the door can't open without dogs barking.
Yep. It's almost like that they knew you were going out to deal with some barbecue.
No, they just knew the door open.
All right. Well, since we are live here, I'm going to just sort of kick this off a little bit talking about what I did. So, after building the circuit, I learned a couple of things. After last week, of course, we learned about hey, we really need these capacitors in here, or this is going to end in tears. Um, and I also learned after playing with an actual physical device that, oh boy, do I want a switch on it.
It's the advantage the switch gives you.
So it's convenient to leave that battery hooked up. The battery is
Yep.
sort of a nuisance to put on and off,
Yep.
but I want to be able to turn it off and not have it running all the time. So throw a little.
Easier to do with a switch.
Yeah, it is. Throw a cheap little toggle switch or something in there, and we'll we'll do that on the which is the little another screw terminal pad. So and you know what? I don't think hardly anybody has seen the actual board, so I am going to switch very briefly to the camera and show off the little collection. Alrighty, and that camera is not coming up.
I see a board.
Yep, you see a board, but there's not
Oh,
a.
oh, I don't see that board. Oh, I see a picture of
Yeah, alright, so.
a solder mask board.
Yeah, that's not. Okay, so that's not going to work. For some reason, it's not talking to the camera for the stream tonight. But not super important. Uh, it's been shared out on social media. If anybody wants to follow it, look for on my timeline, and I'll be sharing a lot more about this device in the near future. Um, and out here, instead of the battery and just pointing to a 9 volt, I actually put a jumper on it. I think that was there before. Now I need to look through this and make sure everything's connected. Oh, I took your suggestion and I added a resistor in here. If
Yep.
somebody's using those pre-wired LEDs like I bought for another project, all they have to do is put a wire jumper in that.
Yep.
And if they didn't, if they just got a little baggie full of LEDs and they're going to wire them up themselves, they can drop their resistor in there. Uh, all right. So I think those are the other big change is instead of using the labels to join things up, I actually completed the traces. Uh, just because I felt a little weird about it for some reason.
Yeah, and I did an exploration of playing with getting familiar with KiCad and laying out boards and things like that. And I found it kind of hit or miss of my understanding of how the labels actually work and what connected. And there were some things that I had to draw an actual line to make the connection to get it to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Else I would get warnings from it that things weren't connected.
Yep. And I think there's a couple of things that we're going to want to add into. For one thing, I'm pretty sure we should put mounting holes on it. Uh,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be a real pain in the butt for everybody to deal with. Uh, right. So that said, let's make sure that's saved, and then let's go over to the layout. All right, and I need to update this again in the schematic. It's picked up my new connections. All right, that looks good. All right, so all right, now obviously I kind of need to pull out all those traces at this point. I don't think those are gonna lead to our happiness. But so here's our resistor. I wonder if I can actually. There we go. We can grab our resistor and move it. Well, now that's okay. I was very confused with how that was working, and that's because this trace here. That trace is going
Yeah.
to come out.
There is a item on the menu um, where you can
Auto
clean up
layup.
traces. You can clean up all the traces and stuff.
All right. Do
With
you
more.
happen to know where it is?
Oh man, I remember it being there, but not where it was. I think it. I think it was under edit. Yeah, delete down the second from the bottom, global deletions,
Oh.
and you can pick, traces, tracks.
All right. Let's. All right.
Wang,
Got them all.
wang. Yep.
All right. I think the power switch and the battery should go next to each other. I need to change this so that it's labeled as switch. I'm trying to figure out what's a good pattern to lay stuff out here. Well, I selected that, so that's to the good. And I want to rotate that. Let's rotate that counterclockwise. I got a shortage of connections from this line, from this point here to anything. That's kind of,
That's that's your ground, right?
yeah. Oh, I need to rotate this. I didn't want to rotate that counterclockwise. I want to rotate it clockwise. And do it again so that the screw down spots are facing out. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. I'm going to drag this over here. I liked your idea of having them at opposite ends.
It kind of let the board be a little more narrow.
Yeah, that was to the good. Oh, you know why the connection's not there? Because that's all on the that's on that negative bus. That's what's going on. I am gonna hop back over to the schematic.
Okay.
I think the bus is maybe not my friend, and that I'd be better off converting this to a wire.
Those were the kind of things that I got frustrated with when I was playing with it. I know that that's supposed to work, and there's supposed to be a way to put either labels or bus names or something there, and it just no.
Wasn't having
But
it, was it?
there just wasn't enough finding out, making it behave with the limited experience I have with it.
Yeah, somebody who knows what was going on could probably uh, do this without a lot of trouble, but I am not burdened with an abundance of knowledge here, so. I missed. There we go. Yeah, the labels worked out pretty well for us last week, but there's something about that bus that I don't understand.
Yep.
All right, so let's update from the schematic again. All right, that looks good. Connections are right now.
I really found it interesting the things that you can tell it that it'll give you all kinds of warnings and stuff about things not being connected, things being too close together, things overlapping. Um, I found that to be really interesting and useful.
Yep.
And, and I went through and read on both Oshpark and PCBWay about their requirements for those kind of configuration.
Mm-hmm.
Trace width, spacing, all that kind of stuff. And they have a set of configurations that you should use as a minimum. So you put that in, you get a few other errors.
Okay.
But it helps you be a little more certain that when you send it off to them, they're not going to say, "Yeah, we printed it, but everything's bled together and your circuits suck now."
All right. I was kind of hoping. I've been working with a co-conspirator on Jennifer Folker has been my sort of accountability buddy on this because they are maybe they drink less corporate Kool-Aid than you and I do, or maybe they drink less corporate Kool-Aid than I do anyway. All right, I am just this whole scrolling thing is not working for me.
It doesn't scroll. It centers where you click.
Yes.
So if you just kind of click someplace, it'll center and make that the
Yep.
thing. It was a weird UI choice. Once you get used to it, it seems to kind of work pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was strange.
All right. I got my resistor off here on the side just because I think that'll be an easy place for it. Uh,
Makes the routing pretty neat too.
yeah. I think I want to take this and I want to rotate it counterclockwise because something that I discovered, um, it's nice. Those stick up kind of tall. It's nice to be able
Yeah.
to bend that down flat.
Yep.
And so if I rotate that, anyway, now it sticks way out on the side. I like that less.
So was your idea to bend it down toward the battery connection?
Oh, that is what that's going to do right there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It'll be either be towards the battery connection or towards the resistor.
Yeah. All right.
Which either way, if you leave plenty of room for it, that's fine.
Yeah. Let me just drag that down a touch and drag that out of the way. Get that down more in here because that's really what everybody's looking for is to have those things nice and close together. And rotate that. Yeah. Okay, so now it can be bent down there. And it
Cool.
won't be a problem. Or maybe it will be a problem, but all right, now we can route stuff. So that's an easy one. That feels like an easy one. Oops. That won't go well. I'd like to route it outside that. I don't really like those being so close, but I'm not sure that that's a.
Um, there's margins there. If it was too close, you'll if it's too close when you run the check, it'll tell you about it.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There's that error checker in there. All right. Let's see.
But if you didn't like it, you bend south, go west a couple of notches, then go north up the middle of the chip and come into it.
Yep, I've done that before. All right. Let's route that. Route that. Got that. Got that. Not that. I need to rotate that capacitor. Doesn't matter which way, but that orientation is not. Ah, shoot. That's not what I meant to do. There. Now I think. Oh, I think that doesn't lead me to happiness. That looks like it'll be a little bit happier. All right. Now I can route here to here. I can route here to. I don't know where that one's supposed to go.
Well, that's ground. You would think it would go to ground. I'm
Middle one's.
assuming the
I think.
square ones are ground, right?
No.
No.
Square
Okay.
one's the output.
Okay.
And the only reason I can tell is it's going into the collector over here on the transistor.
Yeah. So what's the square one on the capacitor then?
Oh, that's a good question. And if I'm being honest, okay. Square one has to be the power.
Okay.
That's weird. That makes this ground. I know that is ground. That routes up. Oh, I don't like that trace at all. That weird little hiccup in there is not going to be my friend.
Yeah.
There we go. That's better. All right, and that is ground. How do I get that?
So where do you need it to go?
Oh, how the devil do I get that over there? I've routed myself into a loop. So this ground needs to go to anything else that's ground. So it's hooked up. It's the connection's running to here, but it doesn't really matter where it goes to ground. The problem is that I've run loops around this thing. In fact, nothing can hook up to this capacitor. It's in a bad spot. physically when I build when I wire these, I actually always put this right between the capacitors. So I feel like that's a good idea here too. So I am going to cut all these traces to it. And I'm going to grab it. I'm going to stick it over here. I guess I'm going to snip out that trace as well.
Another neat thing about the thing on the deletion menu is if you break a trace, you can tell it to go erase everything that's not connected.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So you don't have to do, the
That
12
tedious thing
segment.
that I just did.
Yeah.
All right, that was on the edit menu. Delete.
I think one of the checkboxes on there is, if I'm remembering correctly, if you click on tracks, and then you want
I don't.
only the one that's, what's the fourth one down? What does that one say? It's kind of blurry to
Oh,
me.
sorry. Vias.
No, the one just above that.
Unlocked tracks.
No, that's not what it was.
Got automatically routed tracks, locked tracks, unlocked tracks, vias. I don't have access to locked footprints or unlocked footprints.
Okay, maybe it was somewhere else then. I remember there being a thing that, because I played with the auto router for a while, got it set up and let it do its thing. And so I put traces down and removed them a lot.
You know what? Let's try. I mean, we've got this route thing. Is this? I don't know if that's it. Is that?
I had to specifically go download some things and install some things and
Okay,
make sure
okay.
Java was right and
I haven't done all
um,
that stuff, so that's
do
probably not
some
going to work
stuff.
for me.
It wasn't just it comes with it and you have to push a button. You had to work for it.
All right, that's fair. All right, I'm just gonna go in and delete some traces.
There you
It's
go.
it's not going to be any fun, but it will be effective. Damn. All right, that's better. Okay, so that's here. It is very confused over what it wants to do with all this stuff. You
I think
know,
there's some little pieces of traces left right between the.
oh, yep, I see him. I see him. You're right. There we go. That's better. Now this all makes more sense.
That kink in it on the lower pins for both of them also looks like it's got another piece.
Yep, you are correct, sir. I should just watch for the kinks.
Yeah, it's going to want to make the rat nest as straight as possible.
Yep. All right. I'm wondering if my battery and I need to edit this thing. It says power, and I want it to say uh, switch. All right. I think that'll be a little better. Oh, I want to edit this one too. It says battery. I want it to say plus minus battery. Would it be better for me to share the screen with you instead of the stream?
Either way, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm seeing it. It's not as big as it could be, but
I'm gonna switch it so you get to see uh, the screen. I think it'll be a little bit better. Somebody has had to spend a lot of time looking at screen shares on that tiny little laptop screen.
Yeah, I've got a second big monitor, so it wasn't terrible.
I do not. I have. Uh,
I'm I'm certain that if I start traveling again and having to work on the laptop more, I am definitely going to put in $200 for a um, portable second screen to go with it.
yep.
Doing things like this and shares and remotes and other stuff like that, and even just normal work, having a second screen is hugely beneficial.
Yes. All right. That same change that I made there, I'm gonna make over here about the labels. So this will be minus LED plus. And then I can delete the random text I added to the board. I like having that in the copper.
So fun thing,
Uh
you could
huh.
you could, you, you can put text down and just pick the copper layer and put it in the copper.
Yep.
It turns out you can put anything on any layer you want to, and it'll gladly do it just like way you said.
Uh huh. And it's an amazing thing. In fact, I am going to. Oops. I'm going to take the text from that and move it to. Oh, I don't remember how to do it now.
You go to the right hand column where it
Oh,
says
layer.
Fab, and you pick the layer you want it on.
Yep. And that's gonna go to FCU. Looky there. All right. I feel like the switch and the battery are going to be happier if I rotate them.
Okay.
If Oops. Let's just clean up a couple of traces here while we're at it. Yeah, let's grab that and pull it out of the way. Then we can just grab a lot of traces right here and snipped a lot of them. And the battery goes over here. And look, it is indeed happier, especially if I rotate the... Alright, so that trace has got to go.
Okay. I'm gonna have to step away for a moment.
Alright, barbecue calls. I understand.
It is below 200 degrees. I need to go fix that.
Yep, that needs a fixing for sure. All right, for those following along at home, Butch has just stepped away to attend his barbecue, and his dog is very excited about this prospect. All right, we're going to rotate that again. I'll rotate that clockwise and see what that gets us. Does that get me better lines? Yeah, let's try rotating it counterclockwise. Well, that reduces the snarls to a certain extent. I think I like that. All right. What if I drag it all the way down here? Do that, and then I think this thing can be bent backwards easily. And so I can put in a trace. I go from here. Got that trace. That one goes to there. That one goes to there. That goes to here. Well, nuts. That goes there. That goes there. And that is, oh, very inconvenient.
And I apologize for not thinking to mute before I jumped up from the chair.
I could have muted you. I thought the dogs were funny. Dogs are
So,
amusing.
did that improve things?
Um, for various definitions of improved that don't include making it easier. Oops, I have done a foolish thing. All right, let me go find my work again. There it is. All right, it
I
made
don't.
things
I don't.
better, but it didn't make them ideal.
I don't think I found a way to do any of the routing without having at least one trace that kind of went to the outside of things.
Yeah, I mean we had that in the previous circuit too, so I'm not, entirely shocked there. Oops. And some of these, I don't need to follow these lines directly either. That's one of the things I have to keep in mind, even though it shows
Yeah.
overlapping lines. That's not how
Yeah.
it actually has to be.
Nope. It was really fun watching the auto router do some stuff. It didn't always make a trace layout that was pretty, in my definition of pretty anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but it always connected everything.
Yes. Although there is an old saying among electrical engineers, which is never use the auto router.
Well,
All right.
I could see a lot of times using it and then paying attention to the board and fixing the things you thought were bad about it. But if you had, instead of 8 parts, you had 175 parts,
You might live with it.
you know, especially when, you know, at least 6 or 8 of those 175 are going to be things with 30 and 20 pins. So
Yeah. A lot of stuff you can learn to live with.
yeah, that is another thing to remember. You don't actually have to hit the pin as long as you hit a trace somewhere
Yep. That's the
that
thing
goes
I'm
where
trying.
you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nope. As long as it goes where you want it to go, then it's good enough.
Yep. All right. And my chief problem I've got here is this power is 100% on the wrong side of. All right. Well, let me try it. Let me try that. Okay, so that's connected there. That's my power in. That is not connected up over to here, and I don't have a happy path through to it, except maybe. Let's try weaving through some pins. Okay, fine. Well, don't launch for me. Yeah, I got to cross a ground line there. I want to just run it to here. Oh, I don't have to cross
Okay.
a ground line. This is showing a lack of. Oh, that ground isn't hooked up to anything. Well, fiddlesticks. All right, let me undo that trace.
So is there another place that ground goes that would be ground?
Probably. Let me just dig a little here.
In that the middle pin on U1 is ground. So I'm reading that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
That needs to get over to this somehow. I could loop it all the way around the outside.
Yeah, I would bet that there's something else you could loop that would be a shorter loop that would give it access though.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I'd be better off rotating the 7805.
so if you rotated the capacitor 90 degrees,
My biggest concern is I have to get direct from the battery to the. I have to get from the positive lead on the battery to the collector on the transistor. Oh, geez, I could go all the way up, out, and around, come down like that. Okay, it's a little unorthodox.
let's see what it looks like, and we'll think about it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this. That is too close to that pad for my happiness. There we go. Nope. You gotta come over here, buddy. It is insistent on going really close to that pad, and I don't like that.
Yeah, you have to click and force it, or else it'll go to the margins that are
Uh,
allowed for it.
I did click and force it, and it was still not having it. Yeah, there is no way that that one doesn't.
But see, it's outside the
Oh,
little
you're
white
right.
line is the edge. It's outside of that.
Yeah, that's the mask. Wow, if there's any lack of tolerance on the mask, though, when you solder this thing, you're gonna. Oh no, you won't.
So
Not if you solder from below. I don't know.
yeah, that's the other thing to remember is all your traces are on the other side of the board.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I left a gift over there. Just gonna have to get rid of that. You know, if I use the select tool instead of the trace tool, this is just gonna go better. Oh, geez. I had him a little deep in there. Okay. It is going to fight me on that.
Hmm.
Oh, we also have to connect those two things. And if I use the trace tool again, it's going to go a lot better. There we go.
So did that at least get everything connected?
Everything seems to be connected.
So if you go to tool to inspect up there in the menu.
Yeah, let's check that. Let's save our work too before we do something crashy.
Yep.
Design rule checker
Yep.
or
Design rules checker, yes. And you have to tell it to run DMC, except it's DRC, but it sounds
Right.
better with.
Those of us of a certain age are going to go with something else. Huh, didn't find any problems.
Sweet.
All right. You don't happen to remember Osh Park's specs, do you?
Um, I know they were easy to find on the web, but I don't remember them right off the
Osh Park
top.
design rules came up pretty close. Yeah.
I I think they
KiCad
were.
setup.
I looked at both of them and they were identical, so there's that too. So
All right. Preferences general. All right. It wants imperial measurements, which isn't my favorite, but preferences.
and I think KiCad has changed a little bit, so you might have to
Yeah.
look.
Yes, I was noticing that. Display options. Oh, it's in Mills. Okay, it's already doing Imperial, so we're good. Uh, File board setup. Okay. File board setup. Design rules. Solder mask, paste mask. Solder mask clearance. Oh, this is in millimeters, and that's tedious. Oh, but it's taking. They actually gave me the measurements. So solder mask clearance is
Probably bigger than zero.
yep 0.508 millimeters. Solder mask minimum width is 0.101 millimeters. All right, design rules editor. So design rules.
I would expect there to be numbers for tracks and vias that you'd need to.
Yep, and it's in a different spot.
It wasn't right there above that one.
Oh, maybe it was. Shoot, where was that now? File, board setup. Okay, design rules.
And then two down is tracks and vias.
Yep, just a second here. Yeah, we aren't going to have any vias, but uh,
Oh, I see. It's listing them, not.
yeah.
So maybe that top level was the thing that under design rules. Yeah.
Oh, this looks like about right here.
Okay.
Track width 0.25 millimeters. All right, now converting that's going to be a bit of a challenge, and I'm not sure how to do that off the top of my head.
Do they have Imperial on their site? I thought there.
Yeah,
I
it's
think there's
Imperial
a.
on their site.
I think there's a way in KiCad that you can tell it that you prefer Imperial measurements.
There probably is. I couldn't find it.
Was it preference somewhere?
Oh,
What
okay.
falls in?
6 mils which is what theirs is here, 6 mils. Okay, so that's good. It is using mils up here, which is really inconvenient. But
which which is weird, yeah.
yeah, like pick a set of units, folks.
And under PCB new display options, are they the same?
Oh, they aren't listed up there.
Okay, different
Yeah.
stuff then.
All right. Anyway, so most of that stuff's good. So at this point, we can.
So if you're, what does your rules checker tell you now?
Yeah, where did that go? Inspect design rules checker. No track width, minimum VSIs. Wow, I kind of wish this would have just picked up the other stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it didn't.
Still thinks it's good. 0.2 millimeters is probably. All right. Let's ask the Googles. Six mils, 2 millimeters. 0.152. So, okay. 0.2 millimeters is more than enough clearance.
Okay.
Or track width. So, good. We're oversized on our track width. Any unconnected? No unconnected items. Wow. We actively didn't goof this up too much.
Okay.
I'm kind of impressed.
So it has this really spiffy 3D viewer
Yeah,
that I found useful to get an idea of what the board would actually look like.
yeah. And I don't remember where that 3D viewer is.
It was somewhere in one of those buttons up there, but it was there.
I remember playing with it last week, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, right there, 3D viewer. There we go. Nice. All right,
And
so
you
there's our
can
layout.
there's an option for it to populate the board, and you can actually see it with the components, a representation of the components in there.
Yep.
And I can't remember where that it was either. I remember
I
doing it.
suspect it'll be under this gear here. Oh, this shows everything, so that's not it.
Hmm.
It's a nice notion, though. Render options, all properties. Edit. Huh. This might be because you had special plugins too.
Um, yeah, I might have maybe. It's going to depend on which components you pick when you put them on there. The component libraries that they have that give you the layout and stuff. Those things also contain information for it to know how to draw
Yeah.
the actual pieces on top. But either way, it should show you the traces and other stuff like
Yep.
that.
All right, but this is the thing we wanted to see. Solder pads are on the bottom, and traces are on the top. So I think that's to the good. Oh, there's a thing to snap to the regular view, to the default view. There we go. So I feel pretty good about that. We got ourselves a nice.
So you wanted your traces on the top?
Oh, traces are on the top.
I'm asking if that was really what you wanted, though.
Oh, yeah. That is what I want. Traces are on the top. You'll solder on the bottom. And looking at the bottom, we've got our solder pads there in our vias. So as long as you do a
Cool.
good job of
Okay.
soldering and it fills the hole, which it should, I think everything will be great. All right. I'm pretty happy with that.
Cool. So what are your dimensions?
Oh no, these are one of those things I'm not sure about how to get that.
So the only way I found it was to go back to the schema, not the schema, but the PCB new this view.
Yeah.
Somewhere there is an option to display dimensions.
All right. Whatever's under tools. Nothing there.
Maybe view.
Where's view? There's view. Show grid settings. Display coordinates units. Oh, there's where I set my units.
There you go. That's an interesting place to put it.
Yep.
Um, so over on the toolbar on the right, that thing right above
This stuff over here.
up above the hazard zone sign, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the bottom.
I can add a dimension.
Yeah, that's so, and then go and draw a line, and it'll measure it for you.
All right. So 68 millimeters. And from here to there, 26 millimeters.
So roughly a little bit more than an inch wide and inch and a half, almost 2 inches.
Yeah, that's about 2 inches long.
Little over two
Two and a half.
inches.
That's
2 inches
2.5
long.
inches
Yeah.
long.
Okay.
You know, the beauty of this will fit in a toilet paper tube.
Okay.
So you can carve little eye holes out of a toilet paper tube, shove this in it,
Yeah.
throw that in the bushes. You got yourself a field expedient decoration right there.
Okay. So we have a board. We have a schematic. We have a board. We
Yep.
think we got it. We think we got it laid out and traced the way we want it. What's the
Yep.
next step?
I think the next step. Well, first I'd like to actually print this thing. I'm going to take those dimensions off. I don't think they're really adding anything. I don't think I've got the ability to click them. There we go. I also don't want them showing up on the board when we go to print it or something, you know.
Yeah. What you would do is put that on a. There's one of those layers that's just for information,
Yeah, and I think that's what that layer was.
and it doesn't go anywhere.
Yep.
So
All right. So first we're going to save that, make sure we don't screw something up. Okay, plot. Now we can print the board. Kind of curious what that gives me. Front copper, back copper, all the technical layers. Include PC board edge layer. Yes.
so you just clicked exclude. Is that what you meant to do?
No. Glad somebody was paying attention. All right, and just for funsies, I'm gonna do a print mirrored as if I were going to.
Yep.
And we're just gonna preview it. I'm not actually gonna take it up and drop it. All right, and but if I were going to transfer this to a board, yeah, that's not too shabby at all.
Cool.
Now in this case, I think I'd do a front of the board. If I was going to print my own board, it'd be a single layer, and I'd do a front of the board solder. I think it'd be okay, other than I'm still not 100% trusting of this this line out here. I feel like that's just asking for disaster.
You know, because it's close to the edge of the board.
Yeah. Not because it's close to the edge of the board, but because it's so close to the pad on that capacitor there.
Ah,
I really feel like that's got to be fixed. Oh, it makes I want to add a new one. Alrighty, that's that's just there we go. I'm selecting that track. If I right click on it, what can I do? Uh,
you got both 45-degree drags and free angle drags. You could mess with it some.
yeah. Let's try a free angle drag. There we go. That makes me happier. Hey, look at that. Just keeping its distance from that pad. There. That makes me less twitchy.
Okay.
Now let's print that little beastie again. And what if I only print my copper layers?
A handy deselect all button down there for you too.
Well, that would have been real smart for me to see earlier. I'm going to have it print my edge cuts too. I think it's not picking any edge cuts. I think,
So you're only going to print one copper layer.
yeah, and I actually only
I'm
want to
not
print the front copper layer.
okay.
And we were mirroring. My assistant,
I heard that.
Aiden, has come down to say that it's time for me to come pet him instead. Alrighty. Alright, so that's my resistor. There is the uh,
Regulator.
transistor. Regulators right here across these.
Oh, yeah.
That's my capacitor.
Oh,
That's my other capacitor. That's the chip.
um,
I feel like I could move that capacitor down. It would just make everybody more comfortable. And by everybody, I mean me specifically.
yeah. Seems like it would be. Was there was there a reason not to have that
No.
one trace go right to it? Yeah.
Well, shucks. All right, I just have to break those traces. All right, and then that goes
So
to here. You were
so
going to say
is there any reason not to go due north from the pin on the chip to the pin on the capacitor?
uh, not really. No, it would clean up our copper a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a lot better, and I could kill this angle here too. Okay, if I delete that, I delete everything, and I'm not. Oh, wrong tool. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. Oh, there's a little bit of copper in there. Yep, that cute little trace right there. All right.
Whee!
All right, that's a little cleaner now.
Okay.
Now we'll see what that looks like. All right, got our battery still. Yeah, there's nothing coming really close to each other. That's an easy soldering job. The only part that's not going to be a lot of fun to solder is the transistor, and they're never fun to solder. But that one won't be bad.
Nice.
I like it. I think it's entirely doable. Alrighty. I'd like to figure out how to lay in the bounds of the box of the board itself. There's got to be a way to do it.
Um, yeah, I didn't play with that any, but I would think that would be your edge cuts. And if you were going to draw them in yourself, like if you
Yeah,
wanted to cut custom shape or something like that, you should be able to draw that in.
yeah. I just don't
And
know how to do that.
I'm going to make a guess that it would be drawing lines on the edge cut layer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you would draw them with, but I'm going to assume that because that's the layer that shows those, that's what you would do.
So I got a thing here that says add graphic polygon, and if I were to move that to the edge cuts layer, graphic art, graphic circle. Yeah, let's try it.
Okay.
All right, that wasn't entirely what I would have liked.
That was kind of filled, wasn't it?
It was.
Are there options for it not to be filled?
I was. All right, I have selected it. I feel like the first thing we can do is move it to the edge cuts layer. But
There's the properties doohickey.
yeah, line thickness. That's on the silks layer. Let's move it to the edge cuts layer. All right, let's try printing now.
Okay.
And let's save that. And so we're showing the edge cuts and our front copper. We'll do our mirrored trick. We preview. Zoom, zoom,
I
zoom,
see
zoom.
stuff.
Yeah. All right, that went out to the page width. That's not what I want. Yeah, that looks like my edge cuts. So theoretically, if I gave this to a fab shop, they would look at those edge cuts and do the right thing.
Cool.
It's kind of optimistic, but
That's the fun of doing the first couple of boards when you go somewhere is you learn stuff.
yeah, this is true. All right. Well, we're at exactly an hour, and I feel like we're also at a good stopping point. So
I think so. I
I'm
think it was a good hour.
it was learned a lot of stuff. Thank you for helping me through some of these things. All right.
Glad to be here. I'm gonna go tweak the barbecue again.
Yep. You have fun with that. Enjoy your pork,
It
sir.
it's ribs tonight, shoulder tomorrow. Also get some pork belly on the cure to started tomorrow. So in 10 days or so, I'll have bacon.
Oh boy, that sounds pretty good. All right. I am going to let you go, and we will end our stream.